Welcome back to On Secondary Thought, the home of purposefully imperfect teaching, where we discuss all things middle and high school. If this is your first time here, where you been? No, I'm just kidding. If this is your first time here, please subscribe so you can get access to the first 2 videos in our series of 5 lessons to help you get started with your virtual teaching journey. Today, in an attempt to build a virtual learning community, we will be focusing on helping our students to get to know each other better. The overarching question for this unit is, how can we ensure that we create a virtual learning community where everyone is included in a way that makes them feel valued and respected? It's important to consider the world that our students have been living in for the past few months. Health concerns, financial concerns, racial unrest, and it's important that when they come to us, they feel a sense of community. They feel valued. They feel respected. I know some of us are tough love teachers. I've been there. I've been a tough love teacher, but the world is tough enough. So let's just focus on the love part. Let's get started. So today the students will be doing a number of things, but for the purposes of this video, I'm just going to focus on interviewing a peer using probing questions. And for this particular lesson, I'm only going to go over the mini lesson, the model, and the guided. Right now, the slides for the first lesson are available to you in the description box of our first video. When we hit 25 subscribers, lessons 2 and 3 will become available. And who wouldn't want to take advantage of free slides and a video to accompany how to teach the lesson? As teachers, many of us have had students interview each other for a number of reasons. For our middle and high school students, we want to increase the rigor of the lesson. And so I typically ask students to work on probing whenever they're interviewing. A good interviewer, a good critical thinker, a good reader, a good conversationalist asks follow-up questions. In our first lesson, the students created an avatar, an image, or an icon to represent who they were. In our second lesson, we talked about listening and speaking and identifying and coming up with solutions to barriers in communication. We also talked about safety, interpersonal and intrapersonal communication. So now we're trying to pull it all together. Each student will be required to ask their peers questions on 6 topics. For the model, I usually share my own responses to the interview questions. Once I've shared my responses to the initial, what are your ELA strengths? What are your ELA struggles? I introduce possible probes. For this model, I will be focusing on the topic or the answer that was given about ELA strengths, which is writing. A good probing question might be, writing is one of your strengths. Have you ever had anything published? My second probing question is, when did you first realize writing was a strength of yours? My final probing question is, many people struggle with writing. What advice would you give them? So this invites the interviewee to think about others and also to think about how those strengths can be used to help others. And these are just a few examples. If you feel like your students need more practice with probing, you can use the same template with the answers, give them some question stems, then assign them a different topic, and students should create probing questions for that particular topic. And these can be shared in a number of ways. You can use solo. If you don't know what solo is, check out the other 2 videos. Or they can type their questions into the chat, and then you can give responses to those questions. It's a good opportunity to use your students' responses as model responses as well. After you've modeled and provided an opportunity for guided instruction, it's important to do a check for understanding. And this check for understanding has several purposes. First, it helps to assess whether or not students understand the concept of probing. And secondly, it reinforces interviewing etiquette. If you have any questions about this lesson, please leave your questions in the comment section of this video. Thank you for stopping by on Secondary Thought, the home of purposefully imperfect teaching. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. See you soon.